Ethical theory in business. When you think of emergency, the next thought that may come to mind is a hospital. This is due to the fact that a hospital is where people go in times of emergencies. Diagnostic testing, treatments for acute illnesses, and surgeries are just to name a few. However, hospitals are known for a place of help for people when they run out of options and are looking for someone to lead them in the right direction. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, life as we knew it changed. There became a lot of shortages in stores due to people hoarding. Distribution slowed, layoffs began, citizens panicked, and spikes in numbers of acute illnesses came about, and in return the hospitals were bombarded. Supplies within these hospitals became limited, and people who were not in critical conditions were bandaged up and discharged home to follow up their PCP. However, this type of bandage doesn't fix all of these patients, and the patient does not appear physically ill may be sent on about their way. Is the pandemic really given okay in every situation such as this? I've known an individual to be discharged home from the hospital during the pandemic whose family is left mourning over the death of this individual. This individual experienced some complicated mental health issues during the pandemic and as a result reached out for help. Due to no physical complications and other criteria that were not met, this individual was discharged home within the hour of the ER visit. Sadly feeling as if he was out of option, the individual ended his own misery. A patient who turns to a hospital for psychological help being discharged, can it be justified? Is it ethically justified in a crisis to forget about the ethics and values as a corporation that is made to help a society with a holistic approach? Is it acceptable to lose touch with your own personal values and ethics in a time such as this? In order to answer these questions, we have to understand the ethics in business. Virtue ethics considers the moral character of an individual, as well as the traits that may contribute negatively or positively in a human's life. Some positive aspects to virtues would be honesty, compassion, courage, or justice. Negative aspects are described as vices, and examples would be greed, arrogance, or self-centeredness. Ethical principles in business could be described as trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, and caring, just to name a few. A place such as a hospital, you would expect that these principles existed without a reasonable doubt. However, as a case such as this, along with the crisis, it has been demonstrated that the hospital is indeed a business for profits. In return, we have learned that businesses such as these, in a time of disaster, fall back on the utilitarianist approach. Utilitarianism focuses on the greatest number of good for the greatest number of people. It is a theory that results on consequences. This theory reinstates that an act can only be morally right if the act produces the best possible outcome, thus increasing happiness and pleasure and decreasing bad things such as pain, harm, or unhappiness is the goal. There are some complications to this theory. For instance, the definition of good varies between individuals. And who gets to decide if the theory is exercised? The theory is based on consequences and is not always predictable. Utilitarianism and business policy states that there are experts that know the insides and outs of this business and how to predict the outcomes of profits, losses, etc. It is said that competition is healthy for this type of market. People become statistics in this theory. It is considered that if one person is unhappy and five are happy, then the theory is ethically justice, especially in the type of disaster. This is similar to experience that I have witnessed. One person was lost across their own hands, and others who were in physical need were saved. On the controversy, principle-based ethics only focus on the principles and consequences. This theory believes that some things just should not happen, and that the values and morals should not be broken regardless to what circumstances are faced. Using this approach, a different outcome may have came about, all based on the fine details. In theory, Would a patient who has a mental health issue and no desire to live have the same opportunity as the person who is physically sick and the will to live? With this thought, and without emotional attachment to the individual, as well as the national pandemic in the equation, would the medical team be considered ethically wrong? And under what circumstances could the values of an individual influence a business to change how they operate?